Okay, in this video I'm going to show you where you can notch or drill holes in a floor joist. So here's a floor joist. It's divided up into thirds, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Okay, so first thing you need to remember is in this center section there's no drilling or cutting. Okay, it is off limits because this is where the most pressure is going to be. So this bottom part is going to be in tension and this top part here is going to be in compression. So it's trying to pull one way and then it's trying to pull the other way, so there's no drilling or cutting in the middle of it. Okay, now if you're going to drill a hole, all right, first of all, the hole cannot exceed 1/3 the diameter of the hole cannot exceed 1/3 of the width. Okay, so if this is example is a 2x6, then the maximum hole diameter would be less than 2 inches. So let's say 1 7/8 because it's only 5.5 inches. So you probably get away with a 2-inch hole, but you know, let's say less than the 2-inch hole. And now you want to get the holes as close to the middle of the floor joist as possible, because like I said, the top is going to be in compression and the bottom is going to be in tension, but the middle is kind of a neutral ground. Okay, so try to notch it or drill the hole in the close to the middle as possible, and do not exceed 1/3 the width of the board. Okay, over here we have 1/6. So if I'm going to need to make a little notch in here, it cannot exceed 1/6. So again, if I have a 2x6, then that means that this cannot exceed 1 inch. So it's be less than 1 inch. Okay, it's for this notch on the bottom. So if I put this notch over here, over there, 1 inch. Okay, and then up here, since this is going to be it's a bearing point right there, I can take a little bit more out of the corners, these upper corners. So I can take 1/4 of the notch right there. So if it's 6 inches, so 1/4 of that would be 6/4, which would be 3/2, which would be 1 1/2 inches. Okay, so that would be the most I could take out of the top. Since this point, wherever the floor joist sits on the wall, that is called a bearing point. That's where all the load is being transferred from out here down. So it'd have the same thing on this side. It'd have a bearing point over here where it's being transferred down. Okay, so 1/3 the width it for a hole, 1/6 for a notch on the bottom, 1/4 for a notch above the bearing points. Okay. Now, I thought I'd cover this real quick. Some of the standard spacings that you would maybe put your floor joists. Of course, you have 12 inches on center, then you have 16 inches on center, and then you have 19.2 inches on center, and of course you have 24 inches on center. Okay, so why these numbers? Well, this one, and this one all go into 48 inches. This one, and this one all go into 96 inches. Okay, so you can use a piece of plywood, space your 19.2 inches on center, and it will come out at 96 inches. Okay, if you remember this one has the red box, 16 inches on center. This one will have a little black diamond So you don't have to add these up every time. You just go and you look for the little black diamond. So 19.2 times 2 is 38.4. So if you look at 38.4 on your tape measure, it'll have a little black diamond to show that that is the spacing for 19.2 inches. Okay. Now, what about eye joists? Okay, eye joists are different than floor joists. For number one is never cut this or this, okay? Never cut into those. If you cut into those, it loses all of its structural integrity, okay? So do not cut into these for any reason, all right? None, all right? Now, for the rest of it, this section right here is made out of OSB, and these two sections are LVLs, okay? So you got an LVL and LVL, and then you got OSB in the middle. OSB is really strong when it's supported and it's standing on its edge. So it can be really strong, okay? So from the side, your LVL looks like this, or your eye joist. And they have little circles that have been punched into the side, so the circles are right in the center, and these are kind of like a knockout. All you have to do is hit them with your hammer, and these will come out. So if you need to run a pipe through them, they're big enough for a 1-inch pipe, or if electricians want to run their wires through them, all they have to do is knock those knockouts out, and they don't have to drill them. In most cases. A lot of times they don't get punched deep enough and you have to drill holes anyways, but the basic idea is that you can knock these out with your hammer and then run your wires or pipes through them. Again, you should avoid the middle of it, but on these eye joists it's less, I don't know what the word, I can't think of the word right now, but it doesn't hurt as bad if you would go through the middle of this and not take one of these knockouts out, okay? So that's for these eye joists, all right? OSB and the LVL, so the knockouts, you can take those out with the hammer. Now if you needed something bigger, again, you probably want to go back to this rule. Don't go more than 1/3 of the height, and you want to get the hole. So if the plumber wanted to put a 2-inch pipe through there, they would drill the bigger hole, but they would want to get it, more towards the outsides and less further away from the middle. Okay. So that would be notching for floor joists, whether it's an eye joist or a solid 2x material. So if it was like another video, we're using 2x12, so then 1/3 of 2x12 would be 4 inches. You could drill a 4-inch hole in there. So 1/4 of that would be 3 inches, and 1/6 of that would be 2 inches. So if you change the size here, then these things get bigger or smaller based on that size. Okay. So, notching, where to and where not to notch floor joists.